The Chicago Bears are going to be one of the main teams that are the subject of many discussions during this NFL offseason. We're going to look into the biggest needs for this Bears team, which is the trenches, the offensive and defensive line, namely edge rusher and the center position. We're going to look into the many free agent options coming up in the offseason that the Chicago Bears should be looking to target with the cap space that they have and the team needs they should be looking to fill through free agency. Now, I'm going to start with the free agents at edge rusher, which is stacked this offseason. A lot of options. Towards the top of that list, you're going to have Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're going to have Danielle Hunter from the Minnesota Vikings, Brian Burns from the Carolina Panthers. Out of those three at the top of the heap, I think Burns is the only likely one that's going to hit free agency, though he probably might be out of the Bears' price range. It depends on what his market is. He did have kind of a down season with only 50 tackles, 8 sacks, 18 QB hits, and 1 forced fumble. Now, Burns is still a very young defensive end, and a very versatile defensive end as well. He can play 3-4, he can play 4-3, but he did not have the season he hoped to have in a free agency year. So I think the Panthers will allow him to test the free agency market. I think his market may be a little lower than he expects, and he may just end up re-signing with Carolina. Now, either way, his $18 to $25 million cap range is probably going to be a little too expensive for the Bears after re-signing Montez to an extension. So let's look at some other options that are a little more realistic for the Bears in this free agency offseason. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. If you're interested in the draft and in NFL news, this is your #1 place to get the NFL news and draft coverage that you need. Let's get started. Now, the free agent defensive end I think the Bears are most likely to target is AJ Epinesa, edge rusher from the Buffalo Bills. So far during his career, Epinesa has been a rotational edge rusher and has been very productive from that position. This past season, he had 20 tackles, 7 sacks, 10 QB hits, 1 forced fumble, and 2 picks. He would be a versatile weapon in a zone blitzing scheme, which Matt Eberflus was employing in the second half of last season. Now, Epinesa also is a local kid from Oak Park, Illinois. We know how Ryan Poles loves to bring Chicago area natives back to play for their hometown team. He also has that size profile that Matt Eberflus looks for. Long, fast, and physical. He's 6'7", 270 pounds. Not quite as fast in the 40 time, but his play speed is a lot faster than his time speed when you watch his tape. Now, next up at edge rusher is my personal favorite on this list, Chase Young, defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers, former teammate of both Montez and in college Justin Fields. I think Young would be a dynamite addition to the Bears this offseason. Now, this season so far, he has 25 tackles, 8 sacks, 15 QB hits. We know he's coming off the past couple of seasons where he suffered from an ACL injury, but he seemed to make a full recovery. But I think that injury history and the lower numbers will bring him in the Bears' price range during this free agency period. With so many edge defenders being available, the prices on some of these guys will come down, and I think the allure of playing with his former teammates, playing in a system that can best highlight the best qualities of his game, I think that Chase Young will come in, maybe sign a 2-3 year deal max, get his numbers up, get his stats up, and then be in line for another contract as he's still a very young football player. Now, the last guy on my list is kind of a sleeper pick, and that's DJ Wonnum from the Minnesota Vikings. Also a rotational lineman who's been very productive. I know he's a Bear killer. The past couple of seasons, he's had some big games against the Bears. But this past season, he had 60 tackles, 8 sacks, and 15 QB hits. He fits that athletic profile at 6'5" and 260. He's a speed rusher who can also play the run very well and set that edge on the right side opposite Montez, who I believe was also his high school teammate. If not, I know they went to the same high school. So there's that link, that familiarity. A lot of times in free agency, it's those relationships with players and coaches that come down to helping those players make the final decisions as to which team they want to sign with. Now we're going to get into the center options in this free agency class. Not as many as the edge rushers, but there are some key names I would like to mention that I think the Bears will be taking a look at, as they really will need a veteran center, whether it be Justin Fields under center or whether, and definitely if it's going to be a rookie under center, they're going to need a veteran at that center position. Now, the biggest name is probably going to be Connor Williams. That's going to be a free agent However, he did tear his ACL at the beginning of December. I want to say it was like December 12th, but it's going to take him at least a year to recover from that injury. So I doubt that he'll be signed by any new team. He'll probably just go back to the Dolphins and rehab and come back to free agency next year. Now, Aaron Brewer of the Tennessee Titans was a first-year starter. He performed pretty well. He had an overall PFF grade of 71.6, only giving up 6 sacks, having 5 penalties. He played 1,050 snaps. So pretty good numbers from Brewer. He's a shorter center, but has a low center of gravity. Pretty athletic, can get up the field in zone blocking schemes. So I think Brewer will be somebody the Bears look at. Nick Allegretti of the Kansas City Chiefs is also a local kid, so I think he'll also get a look with the relationship with Ryan Poles being in Kansas City. I'm sure Poles had a hand in drafting him in Kansas City, but he doesn't have a lot of starting experience. He does have some, and he did perform pretty well, but he's not my first pick. My first pick for the Bears to sign is Lloyd Cushenberry from the Denver Broncos. He has a lot more starting experience. He has experience in various systems, as the Broncos have had turmoil throughout their coaching staff. He's had to change systems a couple of times, and he's performed well throughout his first 3 years in the NFL. Another name you may hear is Andre James of the Las Vegas Raiders. I think most of the Raiders veterans will be returning as Antonio Pierce returns as their head coach. Dan Feeney, who's already on the roster, who was brought in halfway through the year this year with the Bears, who's also a local guy. I think he'll be a good option, maybe to be a backup if we don't draft a center. I think the best option, though, would be to sign Lloyd Cushenberry and then draft a center on day 2 or day 3 of the NFL draft. For Chicago Bears fans, let me know what route you think the Bears should go in improving those trenches, especially edge rusher and center. What players did I miss? What players do you think should not be on this list? Comment below. Hit the like button. Hit that notification bell. I'm always dropping NFL, draft news, off-season news, even game news sometimes. So hit that red button, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Peace.